You ever wonder what the real difference is between a project that just nails it and one that's a total mess? What's that one thing that keeps great companies on track while others just fizzle out? Well, today we're pulling back the curtain on a core piece of that puzzle. We're talking about the power of controlling in management.
I mean, we've all been there, right? A project starts off with so much promise. Great team, solid plan, everyone's excited, and then somehow it just completely goes off the rails. Deadlines get missed, the budget just explodes. So, why does this happen over and over again? Well, a huge part of the answer is a breakdown in this one key function we're going to talk about today: control.
Yeah, because the antidote to all that chaos is a really solid control process. Think of it as the guardrails on the highway. It's the system that stops your plans from flying off a cliff and makes sure you actually get to where you said you were going. Okay, so let's really break this down. What is controlling? At its heart, it's just making sure that what you're doing matches what you planned to do. The best analogy? It's like a GPS for your business. You plug in your destination, that's your goal. The GPS is constantly checking where you are, and if you take a wrong turn, it immediately tells you how to get back on track. That's control in a nutshell. And listen, this isn't some brand new, flashy idea. We're talking about a concept that management thinkers like Kuntz and O'Donnell laid out ages ago. They boiled it down to a super simple but really powerful two-step dance. First, you measure what you've done against the standard you set, and second, you fix anything that's off. That's it. It's one of the absolute bedrock principles of good management. So, why does this matter so much? Well, without it, you're basically just flying blind. You're gambling with your company's time, money, and frankly, its people. When you have good control in place, you actually hit your targets. You stop wasting resources, you keep your quality high, and, this is a big one, you create a culture where people are actually accountable. It really is the line between planned success and just hoping for the best. All right, so that's the what and the why, but how does this actually work in the real world? This isn't just some abstract theory, There's a very clear, step-by-step process. Let's walk through the blueprint. So, it's this 5-step cycle that just keeps going. First, you set your standards. You need a clear, measurable goal, something like, we're going to boost sales by 10% this quarter. Step 2, you measure your actual performance. You collect the real data. Step 3 is the reality check. You compare what actually happened to what you wanted to happen. Is there a gap? Then, and this is so important, step 4, you analyze why there's a gap. Was it a competitor, a problem with a product? And finally, step 5, you take corrective action. You make a change to get back on course. And the key is, it's a loop. You just keep doing it, and the whole organization gets smarter and better over time. Now, to actually run that cycle, a good manager doesn't just wing it. They've got a whole toolbox packed with specific techniques and frameworks. Let's open up that toolbox and check out a few of the most powerful tools inside. First up, let's grab one of the most common tools there is, the budget. I know, everyone knows what a budget is. But here's the thing. How you create that budget, the philosophy behind it, can completely change the game for your organization. And this is where it gets really interesting, because you've got these two totally different philosophies. On one side, you have zero-based budgeting. This is intense. Every single year, every department has to justify every single penny they want to spend, right from zero. It forces you to be incredibly disciplined and cut out any waste. Then, on the other side, you've got flexible budgeting. This one is all about adapting. Your budget isn't set in stone, it actually changes based on your sales volume or how much you're producing. So if things get crazy, your budget reflects reality. It really comes down to a choice for managers. Do we need hardcore discipline right now, or do we need to be more agile? But here's the trap. Control isn't just about money. If you only focus on the budget, it's like trying to fly a 747 by just staring at the fuel gauge. I mean, you're going to miss the altitude, the weather, everything. To really fly the plane, you need a full dashboard. And that's exactly what the more advanced control tools give you. And a perfect example of that dashboard is the balance scorecard. This tool is brilliant because it forces you to look at the business from 4 different angles. Of course, you've got the financial perspective. Are we making money? But then it asks, what about our customers? How do they actually feel about us? And what about our internal processes? What are the things we have to be absolutely world-class at? And finally, learning and growth. How are we getting better and staying ahead of the curve? You see, it gives you that complete 360-degree view of your organization's real health. Okay, this is all great, but for any of this to work, you need one critical thing: clear ownership. Someone has to be on the hook for the results. That's where this idea of responsibility centers comes into play. It's basically a way of drawing lines in the sand and saying, you are accountable for this piece of the business. Let's quickly go through the 4 main types.
All right, first up, you've got the cost center. This is probably the most straightforward one. Think of a factory floor, or maybe the company's HR department. Their main job isn't to make money. It's to do their job really well while staying on budget. They're judged on being efficient and keeping costs down.
Next up is the revenue center. No surprise here, this is your sales team. Their whole world revolves around one thing: hitting their sales targets and bringing in revenue. They're measured by how much money they bring into the company, period.
Now we're getting more complex with the profit center. The manager here is responsible for both sides of the equation, the revenue they generate and the cost they incur. A great example is the manager of a specific store in a retail chain, or maybe the person in charge of a single product line. They're basically running their own little business inside the bigger one.
And finally, at the very top, you have the investment center. Think about the head of a huge division, like Google's cloud business within Alphabet. This manager isn't just judged on profit. They're judged on the return they generate on all the money and assets, the capital, that's been invested in their part of the company. It's the ultimate test. Are you using the company's resources to create maximum value?
Okay, so that's the classic playbook for management control. But you know how it is. Just like everything else in business, the game is changing. And the idea of control is going through this massive transformation, all thanks to new tech and a completely new way of thinking.
And this slide really nails the shift. In the past, control was almost always reactive. It was like driving by, only looking in the rearview mirror. You'd see a problem after you'd already hit it, and then you'd try to fix the damage. But the future is all about preventative control. This is like looking forward through the windshield, using weather radar and GPS to see the traffic jam or the storm up ahead and avoid it completely. It's about stopping problems before they even start.
So what's making this incredible shift possible? What's the engine that's taking us from looking backward to looking forward? I think you know the answer. It's all about information technology.
Yeah, AI is an absolute game changer in this space. Think about it. We can now automate all kinds of monitoring. We get data in real time, which means we can make decisions in seconds, not weeks. We can even use predictive models to get a heads up on problems before they happen. Now, of course, this brings its own new headaches like cybersecurity and data privacy, which are huge. But the power that this tech unlocks for managers is just incredible. And you know, when you really get down to it, the goal of control today isn't just about catching mistakes. It's much bigger than that. It's about building a culture where everyone is always looking for ways to get better. It's about creating a company that's so agile and resilient, it can handle whatever the world throws at it. Which leaves us with one last and pretty big question to chew on. As all these systems get smarter and more automated, what happens to the human manager? If the software can flag the problems and even suggest the solutions, what's the new #1 job for a human leader? Where do we add the most value? That's a question we're all going to have to figure out.